The coming out story, understanding that Pride Month celebrations are not about turning the straight kids into queer kids. Pride is about not turning queer kids into suicidal kids or addicts to a lifelong pursuit of happiness or validation for their very existence. Pride awareness and celebration are important because right now, there's a confused teenager out there somewhere who still believes that being dead is better than being gay or transgender, and that is absolutely not okay. Let me share my story with you and how it led to a life of addiction, self-harming, and multiple attempts of suicide. I reached my teenage years in the 80s and lived a life of lies, trying to be a straight guy for years, joining the army, and getting married to prove to everyone I was normal or what they considered to be normal. Having grown up in a smaller farming community, that was a total redneck hate-filled place. Coming out was not an option for me. Instead, I was a black sheep outcast of the family and moved away at a young age to find myself, or as I have since learned, to accept myself. At age 21, I was walking to my home in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was suddenly attacked from behind by 3 men calling me faggot and saying that I should die. They beat me and left me for dead in the middle of the street. My cries for help went unanswered by neighbors. No police came to the scene. No ambulance came to my aid. I lay motionless playing as if I were unconscious until I felt it was safe enough to make my way to my home where my roommates, a lesbian couple, patched my wounds. I called my family to tell them what had just happened to me and was questioned. What was it that I had done to provoke that type of behavior? My reply was simply, I was born. At that moment, I knew that I did not belong in the town that I had lived and grown up in. So I sold everything that I had and packed up what I had left and bought a bus ticket out of Nebraska. I bounced around from place to place in several different states such as Kansas and Illinois, eventually finding myself on the streets of LA frequenting gay clubs and staying on couches of people I had met who would allow me to chill for a few days. Sometimes it would turn into a roommate living arrangement. However, I had trouble keeping a job as I was addicted to alcohol and was using other recreational drugs as self-medicated ways to control suicidal urges. But I had found comfort in gay communities since I didn't have to pretend to be someone I was, not to prove I wasn't an abomination or to validate my existence. Although I had often dressed in drag as my stage personality, Dallas's Da-Boy, drag was a form of entertainment and a welcome part of the gay scene. The intention was to be fabulous, not fake, unlike trying to be the straight guy with 2 kids in a house with a white picket fence that I had failed at for all of those years. Damn, let me tell you about my journey back to Nebraska, a town that felt like a straight-up horror movie once I set foot there. I mean, I was all about reconnecting with my folks over the phone, but in person? Hell no. Within a mere 60 days, I was booking it back to California, where I felt like I could finally breathe. I found my tribe, my people, my fellow fabulous gays who welcomed me with open arms. And let me tell you, that year, I strutted my stuff at the Orange County Gay Pride Festival like I owned the damn place. I proudly held up a banner for the Pride Center, blew kisses to those haters at the end of the parade, and felt like a damn superhero. It was a moment that's forever etched in my memory, a moment where I finally stepped out of that damn closet and let the sunshine hit my face. Let's talk about the coming out process, honey. For some of us, like me, it's a journey that takes a hot minute. But these days, in the roaring 2020 seconds, some folks are lucky enough to have that open door from the get-go. Surrounding yourself with loving friends who see you for who you are, being gay and proud, makes life so much sweeter once you find your groove. The gay community, we call that our chosen family, baby. And for many of us, that's the only family we've got. We gotta stick together, show love, and embrace each other without any damn strings attached. 'Cause at the end of the day, family is all about that unconditional love.
I want to share a poem I wrote about gays and love that was published in a local gay magazine in Orange County, California in the 90s, called The Blade. Issued October 1997 on page 57 in the Coming Out Stories. The poem is called The Pond. It crept up slowly just a little each day, until I finally realized that I was gay. It felt so strange, and I wanted to know why. How could this be? I'm in love with a guy. As society looks at it, this feeling is deemed wrong, yet to live in today's world, we must all get along. Heterosexuality and homosexuality cannot be compared. The beginning of a dark secret that may never be shared. And if love is a feeling, then what can be right? For just the mention of gay people can result in a fight. I just cannot understand why all of these people are scared. Love is so beautiful, especially when it is shared. My feelings for another, even closet, stay hidden. The society in which I live has ruled my love for them. Born unto this world just the same as any other, do I not have the right to choose who I pick as my lover? Believing that love is a feeling coming from deep within the heart, based only on the matter of our sex, there is no reason to remain apart. From puppy love and casual flirtations to crushes and courtship, or the choice of a mate, the emotional feelings within are the same for both the gay and the straight. As long as two hearts have a love they wish to share, exactly who they are, nobody should even care. So listen with your heart and keep an open mind to that wise old saying that love is blind. One's own sexuality cannot be chosen, and knowing that I must honestly say, love truly is a wonderful feeling, and I am proud to be gay.
Living in California had given me the experiences in life I needed in order to understand that I wasn't an abomination or abnormal human being. I was simply a person who was born gay and had now learned to accept myself for who I was and gained enough confidence to move back to Nebraska and find peace and embrace my family, from which I had been estranged for close to a decade. I had children from a failed heterosexual marriage, living a lie as a gay man undercover, and wanted to find a way to patch old wounds and become involved in their lives. Although portions of my life were starting to come together, I was now a high-functioning alcoholic trying desperately to fill a void in my life by becoming what was expected of me in the social norm, unless I even gained custody of my children for a period of time. It was in 2003 that I met David. At the time, I was a single father with a teenage son living in my home, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. One of those jobs was at the Panic Gay Bar, it's gone now, as a karaoke DJ, where David had come with friends, and that is where our story begins. David approached me and eventually asked me out on a date, and I told him I could not go out with him at that time. I couldn't tell him I had a child at home because although I had come out to most of my family, my child wasn't one of those persons. I had chosen to put my life on hold to be a father to him. Meeting Dave was not in my plans. Dave, however, was persistent and talked my friends into introducing us, and I had no choice but to explain my situation. I was a package deal, and because of that would only consider this situation if he were in it for the long run. This was not a one-nighter or fling, as I was not going to jeopardize my relationship with my child. For that, I thought this would make him turn and run, but was mistaken. He told me that he was looking for a relationship, and that was what he wanted in his life. We went on that first date and ended up back at my home, and the story grew from here, since from that night on, Dave never went back to his own home again. We were inseparable, and the introduction to my son went well, and we had become an instant family. That was March of 2003, and we married in June 2003 at the Pride Festival in Omaha, Nebraska. We would spend the next 20 years together, building a life that was filled with great times and travel and experiences. However, both of us had become functional alcoholics as we worked in food service and owned and operated a bar, drank daily in what we believed were acceptable behaviors. We were able to work and live normal lives, but a high-functioning alcoholic can carry on a very normalized life and keep control of their day-to-day activities. In May of 2013, I underwent a total hip replacement surgery due to a vascular necrosis, which is a disease stemming from alcohol use that caused the bones to lose blood supply and die. Recovery from the physical aspects of this situation was ongoing, and it took a long time to regain use of my leg. But even knowing that alcohol use was the cause of my illnesses, neither of us stopped drinking. Our son had moved out of state, and we were now empty nesters and working within school systems operating the school lunch program, and had taken many kids under our wings as allies, giving them a safe space to come to inside the school if they were being bullied or were scared for their safety. Over the next several years, we officially adopted several kids who, after graduation, had come out as gay or transgender and had been disowned by their families. I had been beaten and left on the streets, and David had his own encounters with gay haters, and those battles and experiences that we had overcome led us to become spokespersons and non-judgmental adults that young LGBTQ persons could rely on for support and understanding. We still love you. River, Dean, Say, and the other kids who weren't LGBTQ that just needed loving adults to take you in unconditionally. I knew from my own struggles in coming out that if I had had so, me adults who weren't afraid to the subject to help me figure out who I was and not to live in fear of anyone finding out, my live might have gone in it. What if any one of those times that I swallowed a bottle of pills and chased it with a fifth of vodka or put the garden hose into the tailpipe of my car parked in the garage, my life wouldn't have gotten to this place. A mentor, spokesperson, ally, gay parental person. We now live in Texas. And 3 years ago, David was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cirrhosis. It was a complete shock. We both went cold turkey and stopped drinking immediately, and have been sober for going on 3 full years. We created a bucket list of life experiences we want to accomplish with the time we have remaining. One of the items on our bucket list was creating DNM's Recovery Road to Life YouTube channel to share our life experiences to the gay communities and invite people to connect and follow along with our journey as we seek new adventures and check off items on our bucket list and let anyone know who might be struggling with coming out or being openly LGBTQ that it is okay to be yourself, and there are people out here who will love you for exactly who you are, no strings attached. Thanks for taking time to hear my story. Eventually you reach a point where you're no longer interested in convincing people that how you feel and who you are is valid, and decide that as long as you can out your truth and what works for you, that is what matters. Don't let anyone's ignorance, hat, drama, or negativity stop you from being the best person you can be.
Yes, the camera is rolling.
I don't care.
So we're going to quit drinking, right? 100% no more alcohol.